Hello, in today's video I'm going to be going through a step-by-step guide on how to import a Japanese car to Australia. My name's Hagen, or NoFlow on all my social media accounts. I recently imported a 10th anniversary Toyota Celsia to Australia. It had 80,000 kilometers. I went about buying that last year in November. And when I was going through the process of importing the car, it was very nerve-wracking because there was no information I could find like YouTube tutorials or Reddit or anything like that. There was no help, so it was really daunting. I kind of just went with the flow and it worked out. It was actually quite easy, but I thought I would make a video to help you guys import your own cars. Now, as you can see here, I've got this Word document up, which is an entire step-by-step guide that we will be going through today. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but we'll start with the basics, which is a general explanation of how your car gets to the website or auction dealership that you'll be viewing it on, which is the first step. So in Japan, they have regular required maintenance, like legally required. If you do not maintain your car, there is fines involved. Japan also has an aging population of people that either bought a car and then stopped driving or no longer have the funds to keep a car up and running. So for these elderly people or just financially not well off people, they may have a car that they've got sitting in a garage and they are constantly paying fines for not regularly maintaining it every year or every 3 years. And for them, it is a simple equation that they save money by selling this car to a second-hand dealership. So basically what you've got is you've got your owner. They sell it to a second-hand dealership, and then this second-hand dealership we do not interact with. They then pass it on to a auction dealer or a import dealer. I personally went the route of import dealership. With these import sites, I'll be going through the three most commonly used ones. This is BeForward, GooNet, and CarFromJapan. They each have their pros and cons, which I'll also go through. So let's start there. So I'm on BeForward right now, which is arguably the biggest importing dealership with the highest amount of stock inventory. They also ship from multiple countries, Japan, Singapore, UK, UAE, Thailand, and Korea. But we're only looking at Japan because your money has the highest buying power in Japan at the moment, which was the main reason I bought my car in late November last year, because USD and AUD had so much power over the Japanese yen at the time. So basically what you've got here is a normal search engine. You've got your brand, model code, fuel, transmission, pricing, year, body type. You've got everything, right? So I'm going to be looking at the Toyota Celsia, which is the car I imported myself. So what you've got here is your initial price, which is 5,660 AUD. Now you've also got your total price down the bottom here, which is 10,389. So the difference in price that you're looking at there of about $5,000 is the import cost. This is a flat rate that will be pretty much exactly the same on all three of the import dealership websites. If we have a look here at GooNet, you've got some later model Toyota Celsius. This one here is 10,500 USD, which is about 16,000 AUD. So that is not the total price, 16,000 AUD. You want to apply an additional 5,000 AUD to that. So for this car right here, that is around 21,000 AUD. Now, CarFromJapan is the third import dealership, which I've had a couple mates used. I've heard good things about it, but generally speaking, they are more expensive. So some other notable pros and cons for the different websites is BeForward, for example. I've clicked on this Toyota Celsia here and I can get a price inquiry or I can buy it now. Now, if I get a price quote or an inquiry, they will basically send me an email asking for permission to send me an invoice. I don't know why, but they will not talk to you until they can send you an invoice. So once that invoice is received, then you can go on with inquiring about the car. With GooNet, this is not the case. If you click on the car, you can get a free quote and they will immediately start emailing you from there, and you can then request an invoice only once you're comfortable buying the car. Again, you can still not pay it. You could pull out last minute. Now, with Car from Japan, I'm going to assume it's the same thing as GooNet, where you can email them and talk back and forward without an invoice ever being involved until you want to make that purchase. So now that you've found your car and you've emailed them and you're like, hey, I'm interested in the car, blah, 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 what are the things that you should be asking for before you go through with the purchase? So I've got a whole list here in case you're not car knowledgeable. So first of all, you want to request the VIN. In Japan, this is a little different. For older cars, they only have a chassis number because the chassis number functions as both the chassis number and a VIN. Whereas in Australia, you will always have a VIN and a chassis number, which are two separate numbers on different parts of the car. So you want to request the VIN so you can do a history check of the car, whether it's been in an accident, it's been stolen, etc. This is a really simple thing. You can find some websites where you maybe pay $1 and then you can just type in the VIN and it will give you all the background information on it. Secondly, you want to request the service history or logbook. You would do this for any car, whether it's in Japan or not. This will just give you a general maintenance check of the car, how often it's had oil changes, transmission fluid changes, wheels, tires, wipers, etc. Another question you want to ask is how long has the car been sitting? Also, where it's been sitting. So this is pretty important because in Japan they have pretty rough weather conditions in terms of snow, salt. Also, a lot of these dealerships, it's only the one building and then a huge car park of cars. So if you can imagine, some of these cars take a while to sell. So if a car has been sitting in a car park for 6 months, that's not as good as if it was sitting inside for 3 weeks. Also, if you can request it, where was it sitting with the previous owner? Get some history about the owner. Are they an old driver, a young driver? That just gives you an idea of if the car's been thrashed or not. For example, I asked that about my car, and it turned out it was owned by a grandpa, and he had basically passed away, and the son had sold the car. Next, you want to request a bunch of photos. So I'll go through these, but the main idea is once you've got all these photos, you go to a local mechanic that you trust and basically show them these photos and go, would you go through with the purchase of this car? It's always great to get a second opinion, especially from somebody knowledgeable like a mechanic. So you're going to want photos of the engine bay, engine oil, the transmission fluid. You want a video of the engine actually starting up and get them to leave it running for a little bit just so you can hear any noise, and then also get them to rev it up. Now the next thing is the most important part that you have to request. If the dealership does not want to send you videos of the undercarriage, do not go through with the purchase of the car. In Japan, because they get a lot of snow, they put salt on their roads. So when you're regularly driving a car on salted roads, the salt flicks up and attaches to the bottom of the car. Now, the subframe and chassis of this car gets eaten away by the salt over time, which is only worsened if a car has been sitting. Like, for example, if somebody has passed away, or if it's an old person that no longer wants to drive. So yeah, do not buy a car unless the dealership sends you videos of these following things. You want a video of the entire car's undercarriage. This is them going back to front under the car while it's on a lift, a continuous video, no cuts. Then you want photos of the subframe, photos of the suspension, photos of the wheel wells, photos of the brakes, particularly the brake discs, photos of the chassis rails, oil pan, gearbox, tail shaft, drive shaft, steering rack. Now these components are the core components of the car. If there is rust on these, it is not good. My car, I got a video of the undercarriage and I did have rust on my car, but it was in none of these areas, or if it was very bare minimum surface rust. I got this checked by my mechanic, and when the car came here, turns out he was correct. I got it serviced for rust treatment at Timeless Automotive. It was $900 for the whole thing. The rust was so minimal that it didn't even need any rust repair, just rust treatment, which is a spray over of this spray that basically eats away at the rust and then seals it so no more rust can form. If you get all these videos and your mechanic goes, yep, that's great, I would feel comfortable buying that car, and you feel comfortable buying that car, then you can go about requesting and paying for an invoice. So this is arguably the most simple step of the process, obviously. They like to get their money pretty simple. It's basically going to be you email your broker, you say, hey, I'm ready to purchase the car, send me an invoice. The invoice will be sent in an email. It's generally a link, or in my case, it was actually a document with a BSB account and everything like that. And what you want to do is you use a converter to convert your currency, AUD, to USD. Now, some of these websites do offer the ability to pay in AUD, but you, at least in my case, at the time of purchase, I had higher purchasing power, changing my money to USD and then paying with USD opposed to paying with AUD to Japanese yen. So it's a pretty straightforward process. You just follow the steps that they will give you. Now, an important thing is you should take a photo of the receipt and immediately send it to them as soon as that invoice has been paid, because on their end, it will take a couple of days for the money to actually come through. So you don't want a situation to happen where you pay for it, the invoice is paid on your end, but then the car is not marked as sold, so somebody else pays for it, and then they have to get their money refunded, and it's a whole process. You'll obviously get the car first, because you paid for it first, but it's a hassle for them. So if you can just send them the photo of the receipt, they can immediately mark it as sold and take it off the marketplace. Now, depending on the time of year, there is additional things you'll need to pay for, and this is stuff that I could not see talked about anywhere, but I'm going to go through it so you know. Firstly, there is an asbestos check. If the car is older than 25 years, you have to pay for an asbestos check. You can pay for this in Japan, where it will be about $300 to $400, or you can wait for the car to be delivered to an Australian port and then pay for it at the Australian port. This will be about $900. There is no difference in the quality or anything. It is literally a stamp on the window of the car that says this thing has had an asbestos check, so I obviously went about paying for it in Japan. Now, this isn't something that you need to go out and seek out or whatever. The Japanese import dealership will actually contact you about this after you've paid the invoice. So if we were to go through a step-by-step process, your car could be in a dealership at Tokyo. You will pay for the invoice for the car, which is, let's say, 10,000 AUD, and then they will move it to whatever port is nearest. So let's say it is Osaka. Once it arrives in Osaka, they will be looking for a shipping container to put it onto and ship it out. So in this time, that is when they will send you an email saying, hey, do you want to pay for an asbestos check now? And that will be bundled in with your shipping cost. So you've paid one invoice, which is the payment for the car, and then a couple weeks later, once it's been delivered to the correct port, you will get another invoice, which is the shipping invoice. So what I can do here is I can show you my actual shipping breakdown cost. So I've got here import duty GST into Australia, $1,885. I've got the GST amount, which is $1,600, and then quarantine, declaration, delivery, overseas freight. This is where my asbestos testing is. So it was paid for in one lump sum. Again, not something that you have to seek out. They will just contact you and say, hey, do you want to pay for it now with the import fees, or do you want to pay for it when it arrives in Australia? Which is way bigger hassle, way more money. Don't do it. Now, another weird thing that you have to pay for is if you import a car between September and April, which is the hottest months of the year for us, you have to pay for a heating treatment to make sure that there's no mold or anything brought over, bacteria, etc., brought over in the car when it's brought here. Again, exact same thing as the asbestos test. It is lumped in with the import duty fees. You don't need to seek this out. They will also contact you and ask if you want to pay for it in the bundle. Now, this heating treatment may also delay the car as sometimes certain ports will only do asbestos testing and not heating, or other ones will do heating and not asbestos testing. So the car might need to be moved around to get everything done. But at the end of the day, you're going to be waiting, 1 to 3 months anyway. So if it's an extra week or so, it doesn't hurt you too bad. So as soon as you've placed the invoice for the purchase of the car, but before you've paid for the invoice for shipping, you want to go to a Queensland website called Rover. So I'll pull that up here. So it is called rover.infrastructure.gov.au. You will basically sign in here, enter all the details of the car that you will have been given, and you will basically write them a little paragraph explaining why you want to import this car. So for me, it was my car recently blew up and I wanted a new one, and Japan seemed like the best option because the cars were cheaper there, and basically a sob story. They will then approve this and you will get a document sent to you, which you will then send to them. That's it. Now this Rover documentation costs $42, so you do have to pay for each request. So if you don't get accepted on the first time, you'll have to pay an additional $42 for a second request. This didn't happen to me. Mine was accepted the first time, so I don't know if it's a regular thing to get accepted the first time or if it's a regular thing to not get accepted the first time. Either way, $42. My car was approved for import to Australia. You send this to the import company and then they will give you a thumbs up, and then that's it. It is done on your end. Now all you have to do is wait for the car. So this is kind of the most annoying part, because you've done everything but have nothing to show for it yet. For me, this took a month and a half. It was delayed actually because of a cyclone that we recently had. So yeah, in terms of when you will receive the shipping invoice, it will be sent to you about a week off from when the car is about to arrive. So they get you to pay this after it's already been done. That generally should be paid on the same day. So just have some money sitting aside waiting for this invoice so you can quickly pay it off. All right. So once the car arrives, whether it arrives at port or to your house, I personally chose to have it delivered to my house, which was an extra $200. If you get it sent to the port and collect it from the port, the dock people will request a copy of the invoices. So just have all of these printed off, as well as proof of purchase. Now, either way, no matter whether you get it to port or shipped to your house, you should apply for CTP. So CTP is comprehensive third-party insurance, and it is basically bulked in with your rego. So let's say I own a car that is a 4-cylinder or whatever. I will pay $600 or $800 a year in rego. Now, in that $600, 2/3 of that is actually CTP. So it's something that you regularly pay for, but it's just something that you didn't know about. So in the case of importing a car, what you're going to do is you call up your insurance company or any insurance company that you want to later insure the car with, and you go, hey, I'm looking to get a CTP for a car I'm importing from Japan. They'll walk you through all the steps, and you will pay out of pocket about $300 to $400. This out-of-pocket money, $300 to $400, is not really out of pocket because it would have been something you were paying for anyway once the car was registered. You just have to pay for it ahead of time. So I paid for 12 months of CTP, which was $400, and then when I went to TMR and got it registered, it was an additional $800, bringing my rego to $1,200. So I paid $1,200 in total, but had I bought a car in Australia that was a V8, I would have paid $1,200 on the spot. So hopefully that makes sense, that there's no additional charge. It's just paid one installment and then a second installment instead of all at once. Now, looping back to before when I mentioned that the chassis number and VIN number are actually the same thing in Japan, this might cause a bit of an issue when you go to TMR to get the car registered. So in Australia, you need a VIN and a chassis number, as I mentioned, but Japan only has chassis numbers. So what you need to do is you need to find somebody that can stamp a VIN onto your car. I paid $200 cash, and it's basically on your Rover documentation, they will give you a VIN. So let me explain that a little better. When you applied for your Rover documentation, you would have supplied them with the chassis number because you didn't have the VIN. When the Rover documentation comes back to you and is approved, they will give you a VIN number, which will be a made-up number, basically according to the year and make and model of your car. You then bring this Rover documentation to a place that can stamp the VIN onto your car, and you supply this number, let's say it's 6JJZ, you bring that to them, and then they will stamp onto your car a metal plate that says 6JJZ. It's as simple as that. It's just a bit of extra money that you have to pay because it's an import. So once you have this VIN stamped, that is when you can take it to TMR. You need a printout of your CTP insurance, you need the VIN stamped on the car, and you need proof of purchase. Other than that, you're done. Bring your license, and that's it. Your car will be registered. You then call up insurance, get insurance on the car, and that's it. You now have a working, driving car. Lastly, here's a total cost breakdown of everything I've spent on the car so far. So this should be a pretty good summary. You've got the base price in USD. I paid $9,000. Converted to AUD, $14,400 at the time. I had to pay an additional $327 to the exchange company. That brought my total price to $14.8. Asbestos check, heat treatment, Rover. Then I paid for shipping, GST, delivery, CTP, roadworthy, VIN, and rego. So when the car was on the road driving, I had spent $21,317 on a 10th anniversary Toyota Celsior with 80,000 Ks, practically brand new. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this makes it a really simple process and outlines everything you need to do. But the people in Japan are lovely. They guide you through everything very easily, and they have a lot of patience. So hopefully this makes it a very easy process for you guys to follow, and wish you the best of luck.